Vietnam today is anticipating an improved future. The normalization of relations between the United States and the Socialist Republic of Vietnam is not far off. Vietnam, as one of the few remaining communist countries, is isolated and desperately poor. The peaceful calm hides a regimented society living with mixed messages from its leaders. A battle between openness and total political control is waged in the day-to-day policies of commerce, tourism, production, and an opening to the outside world. Vietnam has a population of roughly 70 million people. Unique geography and history combine with a recurring theme of endurance against the forces of nature and outside aggressors. The Chinese, French, Japanese, Americans, and Russians have all collided with the nationalistic psyche of the Vietnamese people. Today, Vietnam has much to gain from these same nations. Yesterday's aggressors can be today's partners in joint ventures.
The culture of Vietnam is shaped by history, religion, and geography. There is a cultural divergence between the northern and southern sections of Vietnam that spans deeper than geography or economics. The division of Vietnam in 1945 at the 17th parallel and the ensuing conflict further exacerbated these divisions. Southerners have traditionally viewed life a little more lackadaisically. Buddhist influences differ sharply from the stern social structures of the Confucian North. The ethnic Chinese of the South have engaged in commerce to a wider extent than elsewhere in Vietnam. This commerce has done a great deal to add to the material abundance of the South. Commerce is seemingly a one-way enterprise out of Cho Lan, the Chinatown of Ho Chi Minh City, formerly Saigon. TVs, VCRs, fans, air conditioners, refrigerators, Coca-Cola, videotapes, Marlboro cigarettes, gold bullion, and assorted Western consumer goods filter through Cho Lan.
Most agricultural commodities make their first stop in Cho Lan. For example, these ducks are headed for downtown Ho Chi Minh City, where hopefully they'll be liberated on arrival. A major dilemma facing Vietnamese policymakers is opening up to the outside world. Tourism policy demonstrates the struggles within the political culture of Vietnam. 1990 was proclaimed as the Year of the Tourist. Liberal reformers expected tourist dollars to rapidly alleviate the debt burdens of Vietnam. In April of 1990, the Year of the Tourist was canceled. The rivalry between state security and the need for foreign exchange has yet to be resolved. Special efforts had been made for tourist beer, cigarettes, and hotels for foreigners. Special tour packages were established at absurdly inflated prices. For example, most day trips out of Ho Chi Minh City cost between $100 and $150. Taxi drivers in the city, however, would offer similar services with a better understanding of English and the police regulations at a cost of $20 a day.
Tourist facilities in Vietnam are primitive. The only four-star hotel in Vietnam is in Ho Chi Minh City. The Japanese-financed Saigon Floating Hotel boasts discotheques, sushi, and other conveniences of the modern world. The hotel was built in Australia and hauled up the Saigon River. Ironically, a statue of a 14th century general who threw out foreign invaders is now pointing directly at the showpiece of one of the most recent. Yet, the flow of business travelers can do little to provide shelter to the homeless. This resort complex in Da Nang was built by Cuban construction brigades. It is currently occupied by friendly Soviet MiG technicians and misplaced tourists who request a hotel on the beach. There are very few tourists to take advantage of these beaches. Fishermen practice their art as they have for hundreds or even thousands of years. What will they do when this stretch of sand becomes the Cancun of East Asia?
The beaches in Da Nang and Vung Tau are superb. Currently, East European and Soviet officers and their wives inhabit the space where U.S. Marines first landed in 1965. How much do you think we could scalp a Jane Fonda workout tape for here? Other tourist attractions in Da Nang include Marble Mountain and assorted museums. They are monuments to the heroic efforts of the women and mothers who fought in the U.S. war. This sculpture is made from the casings of American bombs. In Hue, the ancient imperial capital, there are dozens of dilapidated sites of a grander period. State souvenir shops would gladly sell you museum-quality pieces of its imperial past for a little foreign currency.
Renovation of this historic imperial city is a slow and expensive process. The ancient imperial city, a scene of fierce battle during the 1968 Tet Offensive, still bears scars of the destruction. There are many sites worth taking in a day trip, but hundreds of millions of dollars are needed to restore the imperial city to its lost grandeur.
In the Pacific region, the Vietnamese economy is at the bottom. In 1975, unification of the currency was imposed. Examining the Vietnamese currency itself, the dong, is a good way of looking at the macroeconomic theories that have inspired the economic planners. The 1 dong note shows the citadel, a symbol of past greatness and Vietnamese sovereignty. The 100 dong note, worth about 1.5 cents today, shows agriculture as a basic stage of development. Self-sufficiency in rice production has always been the first step in development. Other dong notes depict textile and light industrial manufacturing as key components of development. Rapid inflation spawned the need for new and higher denominations of currency. The 5,000 dong note, currently the largest denomination of currency, equivalent to about 60 cents, shows offshore oil wells as the most recent economic nirvana of the developmental strategy. What will this currency buy? The Japanese-owned establishments in Ho Chi Minh City insist on payment in dollars. Vietnamese tourism also wants dollars. In Hanoi, where party regimentation keeps the exchange rate at a lower official rate than in the South, many establishments prefer not to take dong at all. Vietnam Airlines will gladly take the book value, in dollars, of competitors' airline tickets. Flying Air Vietnam with Soviet hand-me-down aircraft is a thrill best left to the most adventuresome. These little devices can be a valuable in-flight companion.
Petroleum production may be one of the best economic strategies. Vietnam desperately wants oil companies to join in joint ventures to explore and drill for petroleum resources.
American oil companies have a vested interest in such ventures. In the fall of 1990, as Middle East oil supplies became questioned, a bill was introduced in Congress to provide a special waiver of the Trading with the Enemy Act for oil and gas exploration and development in Vietnam by United States persons. Senators are getting in on the normalization business bandwagon. Senator Lugar, in a bipartisan letter to President Bush, stated, "The time has come to stop penalizing American business interests. Trade with Vietnam would better foster American interests across the board." This beach and the oil deposits 90 miles offshore may be the best hope for badly needed revenues. This little tar ball, picked up on China Beach in Da Nang, shows that oil does exist, but who will get the chance to commercially exploit it? Today there are two main issues that restrict the normalization of relations with Vietnam. First, the missing in action, or MIA issue, remains an important sticking point. There are 1,600 MIA cases that deserve a conclusive accounting. Greater cooperation is needed from Vietnamese authorities. Though a major first step was recently taken when the Vietnamese government agreed to allow the U.S. to open an office in Hanoi to work on this issue.
Second, other Southeast Asian nations are looking forward to UN-supervised elections in Cambodia. These are some of the same nations, including the United States, that provided assistance to the anti-Vietnamese forces, which included Pol Pot's Khmer Rouge. The hardline leaders in Hanoi are reluctant to have multi-party elections on their western border. The resolution of these issues will be forthcoming, but will take time and measured steps by all parties. It is ironic that the leaders of Vietnam have created a political Vietnam quagmire of their own, winning the war but losing the peace. They have created a large standing army of 5 million, become isolated, and are losing domestic and international support. They must see few options as the world communist fraternity collapses.
Yet there are some facts about Vietnam that we cannot ignore. The people of Vietnam love their children very much. They want to make sure that their children have sovereignty, protection, and peace. As part of a better future for the children, they will need development. Employment is a necessary first step as agricultural laborers move to the city.
People of the United States can insist on the normalization of relations with the people of Vietnam. Vietnam was more than a chapter in American history. It is a place, a people, a civilization. The children, whether they are communist, nationalist, capitalist, or a combination of the three, deserve a future free from the hardships of the previous 3,000 years of Vietnamese history.